Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. I am your host, Harrison Graham, as we continue our coverage here from Radio Row in Phoenix, Arizona. Super Bowl 57 set to take place just down the road in Glendale this Sunday between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. Hopefully, the Chicago Bears playing in this game sooner rather than later. But we do have some Bears rumors to catch you guys up on, so let's go ahead and dive on into the show. Cole Kmet is in contract extension incoming for the Bears tight end. He is eligible to receive an extension now that he has accrued 3 years in the National Football League. And a report coming in from The Athletic that he is the most likely candidate to receive a contract extension this offseason. Here's what Adam Johns wrote up of The Athletic. He said, asked whether the Bears had any blue-chip players, one player immediately came to mind for Ryan Poles: Kmet. He improved that much in his third season, but also his first with Poles, Coach Matt Eberflus, and offensive coordinator Luke Getsy. And if you go back to that season-ending press conference, Ryan Poles did point out Cole Kmet specifically as a guy that he was very, very impressed with in 2022. Obviously, you look at his career, a little bit of a slow start as a rookie, but that's to be expected in most rookies. Second year, I actually thought he played really well in 2021. Didn't have a touchdown, but did have 60 catches, over 600 yards. Little down in terms of catches and yards this year, but the Bears passing game just really never got going in 2022, but where he did get going was in the red zone. He was a great red zone target, had some big-time touchdowns down there, 7 scores this season, and I think he's still ascending as a player. I personally expect Kmet to get extended when a GM has only been here for a year, and he points to you specifically when asked if there are any blue-chip players on this team, and he says Cole Kmet. That's a guy you're going to keep around. So I think Ryan Poles is going to make that a priority. I think Cole Kmet gets done, maybe even before free agency. It wouldn't surprise me at all if in the next couple of weeks Cole Kmet gets a 2, 3, 4-year extension from Chicago to continue to build that camaraderie with quarterback Justin Fields. Will the Bears extend Cole Kmet? What do you guys think? Type Y for yes, type in for no. I think it's a no-brainer. I'm typing my Y for yes. Pin comment on today's show, so if you get hit with the YouTube ad break, go ahead and drop a Y for yes or an N for no. Now you look at some extension candidates. These are 4 players that really stand out, all entering their 4th year in the NFL. We just talked about Kmet. I think Jalen Johnson is a guy that is certainly worthy of a contract extension as well. Darnell Mooney, obviously a bit of a frustrating year, ends up missing the last several games with an injury, but I think he's shown enough to warrant sticking around. And then Chase Claypool, probably the least likely to get one this offseason, but they did trade a second-round pick for him, so if they want to get him maybe at a reduced cost, considering he didn't do much this year, you could go ahead and take that risk. I tend to think that Ryan Poles will probably let this year play out for Claypool, but we'll have to wait and see. But I would for sure extend Johnson and Mooney. These are guys that have grown in this organization. I know Poles and Eberflus have only been with them for 1 year, but Jalen Johnson's a really good corner. At worst, he's a high-end 2, but I think he's, at times looked like a really, really good number 1. Darnell Mooney had a great 2021 campaign, was starting to heat up a little bit this year, then obviously suffers the injury, but I think him and Justin Fields have pretty good chemistry, so I think he's a guy worth keeping around as well. Now, before we continue the conversation around the Chicago Bears, today's show is sponsored by Athletic Greens, and we've been working wild hours this week, and AG1 has kept my energy up, producer Sam's energy up, and the rest of the Chat Sports crew this week as well. Get comprehensive and convenient daily nutrition at athleticgreens.com/chatsports. I've been taking this stuff for about 3 or 4 weeks now, and I've never felt more energetic. Football season could be draining. Super Bowl week can be draining. You never know when random content opportunities pop up, so you got to be able to be wired, and AG1's been helping me do that. With my scoop of AG1 every single day, I've got that extra push to get more done. Not only is AG1 helping me get back into food habits, I'm already seeing better digestion as well. Improving my gut health has been something I've been wanting to do for a while, and what's cool about AG1 is if you sign up right now or order right now at athleticgreens.com/chatsports, you're going to get 5 free travel packs, a year's worth of free vitamin D, and this product, it's going to promote your gut health. It's going to support your immunity. It's going to give you that energy boost that you sometimes desire, and it's going to do it in a very healthy way. I trust Athletic Greens. You guys should as well. Go to athleticgreens.com/chatsports. Best part about it, it costs less than $3 per day. Go check out AG1. I have never felt better getting out of bed every single morning than I do with Athletic Greens. Let's get to an interesting potential storyline here as Chase Young, the former number 2 overall pick, according to reports, Washington might not exercise Young's 5th-year option. So what does that mean? Well, that means that they're not fully bought in on him, and maybe he could emerge as a trade candidate because maybe Washington's thinking, okay, we want to prioritize Daron Payne, who's entering free agency, a guy that I think Chicago would be interested in. And if he does not become available, maybe Chase Young does, and you can buy low on a very talented player. I would certainly buy low on Chase Young. Could you get him for a 3rd-round pick, a 4th-round pick? I wouldn't give up a 1st or 2nd. I don't think, obviously, you're not giving up the number 1 pick, but I don't think I'm even giving up next year's 1st for him. But 3rd or 4th, I would certainly consider. I mean, you look at his career so far, it hasn't been a talent problem. It's been an availability problem. His rookie year in 15 games had 7.5 sacks. That's a sack every other game, 4 forced fumbles. He looked like a guy who was ready to be that next great defensive lineman, and then he's been hampered with injuries. Only played in 9 games last year and was fighting through stuff. This year only played in 3 games. It's not a talent issue with Chase Young. He was worthy of being a top 5 pick. But if Washington's concerned about his injuries or if they just don't want to commit to him, typically when a team does not exercise a 5th-year option, you would think that organization is at least willing to take calls on said player. And if you're Washington and you keep Daron Payne, it's going to cost you over $20 million per year. So they might be willing to trade a guy like Chase Young. And I think a team like Chicago looking for young, athletic talent, especially in the trenches, I would think Flus and Poles and these guys, Alan Williams, would be interested in bringing a guy like Chase Young in. Is he fully proven? No. But is he talented as hell? Absolutely. And we have seen flashes of his ability in the NFL. He's just got to get fully healthy. Needs a fully healthy offseason here. I think he could be a strong player in 2023. Certainly, as you guys look at the depth chart, you got to improve the front 4 if you are the Chicago Bears. Now, would you trade for Chase Young? I'm not saying just anything, but, if you could trade him for a 3rd. Type T for trade or P for pass. I would heavily consider this. If you can get a 1st-round talent for 60 cents on the dollar, I always think those type of moves are, something to take a look at. And, again, we've seen his talent in the NFL before. It's just been a couple of years, so it's in there somewhere. Now, guys, we have almost made it to 60,000 subscribers. We're just over 50 away, and with our next live show being on Tuesday, if we get to 60,000 subs, we're going to do a live fan-led mock draft next Tuesday back in our Chat Sports studios. We'll mirror the mock draft simulator, and you guys are going to be able to make the picks. So subscribe to the channel, nonstop coverage every single day. We've been bringing you videos every single day here at Radio Row in Arizona. 53 away. Come on. When I wake up tomorrow, I want to be at 60,000 subs. Help us get there and help support the fastest growing Bears channel here on YouTube. All right, let's get to more offseason coverage. Are the Bears heavily targeting offensive line and wide receiver this offseason? Well, Peter King says he has a gut feeling that the Bears will be aggressive in acquiring talent at those spots, and kind of obvious, right? Now, when Peter King says something, reports something, you should listen because he's well tapped in. But it doesn't take a genius to look at this offensive line and say, yeah, you need to upgrade. I like Braxton Jones. I think he's worthy of being a starter next year. Now, whether that's at left tackle or right tackle, that remains to be seen. Cody Whitehair is a cut candidate. I think that's very much a possibility that you move on there. Lucas Patrick could get cut as well. Tevin Jenkins I like. Injuries are going to be a concern there, but I think he's worthy of being a starter. And then Riley Reif's a free agent. Alex Leatherwood didn't show us much. So at minimum, I think you got to get 2 new starters on the offensive line, if not 3. So obviously that speaks for itself. And then at wide receiver, again, I like Darnell Mooney. I like Chase Claypool. I think that's a good place to start, but you still lack that true number 1. All the good young quarterbacks in the NFL, and I've talked about this multiple times. Joe Burrow, he got Jamar Chase. Justin Herbert inherited Keenan Allen and Mike Williams when he went to the Chargers. So you've got to get that number 1 guy. I think what Ryan Poles has to figure out is who does he want to target in free agency, not only at these positions but in general, because once you have a clearer idea of who you want to target and who you might get in free agency and on the trade market potentially as well, trade market, then it kind of gives you a clearer understanding of what your draft plans are. So obviously number 1 pick. We'll see if and when they trade it. But free agency comes first. So you got to figure out who you're willing to shell out money to. You look at the free agent class at wide receiver, it's not that strong, right? OBJ hasn't played in over a year. Juju, pretty good season this year, but he's got some injury concerns. I don't think he's a true number one. He's like a very low-end 1 or a high-end 2. I would take him, but keep that in mind. Jacoby Myers, Alan Lazard, DJ Chark. These aren't guys that I'm saying I wouldn't sign, but I don't think any of these guys are coming in and being a no-doubt number one guy. You got to find who that is. Now, if Michael Thomas becomes a free agent, it's not guaranteed that he's a number one anymore with his injuries, but that's someone I would be interested in. If Keenan Allen gets cut by the Chargers, that's someone I would be interested in. But I don't want to overpay for Juju Smith-Schuster or something like that. You've got to find a way to get a number one receiver in here, whether it's via trade, in the draft, or potentially in free agency if a couple more names enter that market. Now, what do you think the bigger priority is for the Bears? You think it's the offensive line, or do you think it's wide receiver? Type OL or WR, depending on which side you are on. Let us know in the comments, and we will see you next time here on Chicago Bears Now.